Hello, YouTube. Today we're going to go through Tesla. We're going to go through AMD, Palantir, DKNG, and Johnson & Johnson. And this is because these are the top stocks you guys requested on last weekend's poll and on this weekend's poll as well. So I think that what I want to do going forward is to ask the poll on a Friday and then record the video and publish it on a Sunday. Make sure to drop me a comment and tell me what you think. Not wasting any time, let's jump straight into Tesla here. What do we have? We have a massive pattern. We have a head and shoulders here. So if we look at the weekly chart, we note there is this massive head and shoulders pattern. It's a little bit more obvious when we look here at a 1 month chart, where we can clearly see that we tagged the neckline, which is here at roughly $300, and then we rejected. So as long as we remain below that area, I think we're in consolidation. I don't think it's really all that complicated. So more time on the chart means more significant, and that's what I note here with the head and shoulders. The second pattern that I note here is an inverse head and shoulders, which actually goes here to about 210. So we're currently in a range between 300 and 200. That's a pretty big range. And the last thing I will note here regarding Tesla is that we are likely going to be getting a death cross here on the weekly chart in the next couple of candles. That is a lagging indicator, but it does show that momentum is waning. When we look here to the daily chart, we also have two competing patterns. We're pointing down with the red line, or we're pointing up with the green line. So because we broke the downtrend, started going up, we got to give the bulls a little bit of evidence. But with Friday's slam of 5%, it solidly rejected off of this uptrend. So if we're going to see that bear break back down to roughly $200 and maybe even lower to retest these lows, we're going to have to stop going up, which means a daily candle close back below about 240 or back below this gap zone. So that is Tesla in about a minute. Let's go through and look at AMD. So just as a note, right hand side is going to have a weekly chart, and the left hand side is going to have a daily chart. So what I want to do is go to the weekly chart and look at AMD because I want to understand what the dominant pattern is. So here I'm noting that we didn't quite make it to this zone, but if we discount that part, it looks like we formed a cup with a handle, and now we have an extended handle here or a channel forming on the right side. We do not have a golden cross. Sorry, we do not have a death cross, which means that the stock has actually still got short-term momentum. We're just trying to drive it higher. We also bounced off previous resistance. That's very significant because what was resistance should turn into support if the chart's going to go higher. So that's what I'm noting here on AMD. It looks pretty bullish. And what I would look for continuation is, again, we want to make sure that we actually get above this zone at about 130. But for short term, cup, handle, it's only a cup and handle if it turns into a bullish pattern, which means actually reclaiming this area, putting in a higher high, and marching even higher. So the number one thing I'll be looking for right here is just to make sure we can actually form a higher high. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. And by closing at the high of the week this week, all we got to do is make it to roughly 111 or about a rally of just over $1. And we should break that spell of the lower highs. And maybe we can make a run back up here towards 130. That is AMD. Moving over here to Palantir, what I note is something very similar where we know we have a, let's look at the daily chart actually. So we know we are battling for the 50 DMA here. That's a little bit significant after our big run. This is a massive AI play, and one I'll be watching closely to see if we can actually get some continuation here. What I would notice on the weekly chart, we have an area here of roughly 17.25, which corresponds with a short-term potential head and shoulders. So if we rally back up, but fail to reclaim about 17.5, I would say that's a short-term rejection, and we're probably going to head for this 50 moving average here. It doesn't look bad. We have a higher high, we got a higher low, but we didn't close quite above. So we got three candles, two higher lows, one higher high, which means the bulls played defense twice by forming those higher lows, but they only played offense once by printing a higher high, and they did not actually close over the previous candle high. So the bulls are trying, but they better try harder if they want the chart to advance. DKNG, very similar here. We're forming a cup and handle, and I would say that the cup did not quite make it to this zone or this price, but we note here that we have the cup, we have the handle, and again, same note as the previous ones. We bounced off resistance, so resistance turned into support. This chart looks pretty good, not going to lie. When we look here to a higher time frame, the one thing that I would note is just that we've been going on a relentless move higher. We got the birth of the 50 MA here on the monthly chart, and now we have an inside bar. So however this inside bar breaks, if we're able to hold, we look here and see that we got 30.32 as the 200 MA on the weekly. And then on the monthly, we got 29.11. So I would say that if we break this last candle range, that's likely going to be the short-term move, either up to roughly $50 or down to about, I don't know, about 20 bucks. So that is DKNG. Let's now look at Johnson & Johnson. So Johnson & Johnson has massive volume. That's the first thing I would note. We look at the daily chart and at the weekly, we have a golden cross, but we're actually below. So there's definitely news. Earnings took us up. We have a mountain to take us all the way back down. So what a mountain usually leads to, or an M, it usually leads to more downside. Just like a W usually leads to a win. This one here is an M. So if it can't hold these lows at about 157, it's likely going to lead to more downside to shoot even lower, closer to about 150. On the weekly chart here, that would also break the pattern where we have this uptrend, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. We're resting right here on the 200 MA, which means if we can't hold here, I'd be looking for the pattern to break by getting a violation or a print below 157. So in about 6 minutes, that is 5 stocks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would really appreciate if you could consider smashing that thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. If not, we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you again.